Hey everyone, I'm your host, Brittany Jones Cooper, and welcome to Build. If you're in New York over the next 3 weeks, you've got to go see Much Ado About Nothing at Shakespeare in the Park. The Shakespearean comedy has been given a modern update set in 2020 in Atlanta, Georgia, and performed by an all-black cast. Here today to talk about it is Tony Award-winning director Kenny Leon and stars Danielle Brooks and Grantham Coleman. Hey guys.
What's up?
Hey, hello.
How you guys doing today?
Good. Thank you for having us. AOL Build.
Yes, so happy to have you here. And you guys debuted this last week. So how's it been going? How have audiences been responding to you guys?
I hear a lot of laughter and a lot of cheering and just a lot of appreciation, too, for our telling of the story, I think. It's been really powerful to talk to people after the show. And I haven't talked to someone before the show because I'm trying not to do that. Right. But I think everyone's just, their expectations have been so far met and exceeded by what we've been able to do, I hope.
You said it right there. The expectations have been far exceeded. I purposely don't read stuff before I go see a musical or a play. I just kind of want to be in the experience. So I didn't know it was an all-black cast. And as that started to become clear to me, I just got so happy. And then I looked in the audience, too, and it was one of the most diverse audiences I've ever seen in a theater experience, which I think is really important. So, Kenny, I want to start with you. Take me to the beginning of staging this and the idea to create what you do.
Well, I'm watching it every night, and I'm just blessed to have an amazing cast of 24 people, but grounded by these two, you know, and you see Danielle Brooks come on stage to play one of the most iconic roles in theater history, you know, to see her be Beatrice and looking as beautiful as she is and having the instrument to deliver those words and the humor and the songs. And so just to have the cast to do that and have him meet her halfway, it's just magical every night, and it's different every night. And it also, I think, because we cast it this specific way, we have an opportunity to uplift the universal messages that Shakespeare laid down 500 years ago. So, and those messages are, we need to live in a world that is embracing of love. We need to live in a world that's embracing of laughter. We need to live in a world that's embracing of singing song out loud. And every night you see that audiences lean forward and meet this cast halfway. And it's really beautiful to see us under the stars, under the trees, under the moon, you know, just having a moment to just reflect on love and laughter. And it's a beautiful thing every night in that park.
Yeah, it is really beautiful, the scenery, obviously, but also the message and how timeless the message is and how you're able to update it in something that was written so long ago still really resonates, especially with the updates you've made. So I know casting-wise, Danielle was always sort of who you had in mind. Tell me why.
Because she's great. Did you see Orange is the New Black? Did you see the color purple?
Right.
Did you see? I mean, come on. I mean, when you start thinking about it, you know, Shakespeare asked you in the first page. He says, men coming from war. So I'm always trying to see how the play relates to present day audiences. So he says, men coming from war. And I said, number one, not just men come from war. So that right away I knew the play would have men and women. I said, if Shakespeare was alive today, he would have men and women coming from war. It's like, what kind of war are they coming from? Well, they're coming from a war that protects our core values of love and life and gender inclusion and racial equality. So that's what war. So I did that. And then it says, okay, the guy that owns this house is wealthy. Okay, he's wealthy. Okay, his name is Leonardo. My name is Leon. Okay. Then I started thinking about where I live, where I own a home. I'm in New York 80% of the time, but I own a home in Atlanta. Okay, Atlanta has the highest black middle class in the country. Okay, wow, okay. And then the key thing was in Shakespeare's script, he has, they're coming from Oregon. And I was like, there's an Oregon, Georgia, which is 20 minutes from my house. So I said, oh, let's set it there, because if we're going to have a war, it's not a war of the past, it's a war in the future. So the war in the future could be next year, 2020, right before the election. So it's just as random as that. I was like, oh, and how would the audience know that? Oh, we'll put a Stacey Abrams.
Yes.
2020 post. So that way, when the audience sits down, they know right away it's 2020. I thought this was Shakespeare, 2020. Right. Stacey Abrams, she was the woman from Georgia. Now you know you're from Georgia, and it's 2020. So everything else is just having a cast like Grantham and Danielle that can deliver the words. And when you just do Shakespeare right, I mean, there's only two writers that sit at the same table. That's August Wilson and William Shakespeare. They sit at the table alone, for me. All the other writers are great, but those two, yeah.
And Danielle, I know you went to Juilliard, as did you, Grantham. And so you've studied Shakespeare. So what was it about Beatrice and Much Ado and this opportunity that made it something that you had to do?
Well, it felt like a no-brainer to me because I didn't know if the opportunity would ever present itself in this way, especially working with Kenny Leon. I didn't know who was going to be in the cast. In the beginning, it was an offer, which blew my mind, that he trusted me enough to just jump into the material. But for me, being a plus-size black woman, dark-skinned black woman, natural hair, getting to be the lead of a Shakespeare in the Park, which is a huge deal. Being the lead of a Shakespeare was like, that never happens. So I was like, I got to jump on this opportunity. And I've already seen the impact of what it's, done, and in the fact that he has been so innovative and kind of right on the nose of where we are in this time. There's so many women have come up to me or said, just to get to see someone that looks like myself be the love interest, and it's not commented about her body or her skin tone has just been very impactful. And I'm kind of doing it for little Danny, little Danny, because when I was at Juilliard, I was playing Soldier to the Left and Witch Number One, because they weren't able to, they were really trying to figure out where I fit in their worlds. And I didn't fit that well, it's like putting a circle in a triangle for them. And because I always knew that I had the chops, but I never was given the opportunity. So, I'm just really grateful to Kenny for being a visionary in that way and giving me this opportunity, and getting to work with Grant, who we speak the same theater language, acting language. It's been a pleasure. He's such a genuine and giving actor. He really understands the fundamental. It's never about you. And he's so generous with his skill. So we just have so much fun together. It's fresh and new every day. Like he said, the cast is phenomenal. We starting out with Marvin Gaye, what's going on? So you can't get no more black than that. So it's just been a fun journey.
Yeah, and your chemistry is so dynamic, and one of the reasons is because both of your characters are so bold and so witty, and just the back and forth is amazing. Beatrice, though, what kind of work did you guys do together to modernize her and to deliver words a certain way so that it left an impact? What was that like in rehearsals, sort of developing the new Beatrice?
Well, I think the great thing about working with Kenny is that he picks, chooses actors that have great instincts, and he lets them run with that. And a lot of directors are kind of stuck in this is how I want my things done, but he allows us to try things and go as far as we can, and then we're able to say, no, we don't need that, add a little mayonnaise to that, and that's literally what he'll say. But on top of that, he would do this thing where he would say, okay, now we're going to do the Lydia Diamond version, which was basically taking it out of this Shakespearean, wit text and bringing it to the 2019, 2020 version, which really helped us to modernize and instead of saying, oh, Lord, thou art whatever, we can be oh, Lord, thou art whatever. So that was a lot of fun.
On that note, Benedict has so much swag, and I want to know, he does. When you walk, you really brought something new to this character. So take me through your process of modernizing him and putting your own little things into him.
It's the hair. It's the hair, just got done, and then I was like, oh, okay, now I'm Benedict. You were Grantham now. No, I think everything Danielle just said about how you give us the space to really try and find how we fit into this text and how we fit into this text. And it's this is the first time I've got to be in a show where it felt unapologetically like my soul is in it. and the other cast members' souls are in it, and the director's soul is in it. Not because there's not room for us in other shows and other productions. It's just that there's room to a point. And this feels like my Benedict is the guy who is always going to tell a joke, whether it's good or bad, just because he's got to get it out. Because he's like, oh, I got this. You think that was bad? Oh, okay. Which is who I am in the room. I got this joke. If I miss it, I'm not going to get to say it. I said it. Oh, okay, it's not that good. And he's just happy to be surrounded by his people. And I think that's one of the things about our show is that it's not so much that this is an all-black cast, but we're telling a story that takes place in a black community. And the story that we're telling has a threat outside, and we're black people coming together, trying to love each other, trying to make this work. And then still, within our own culture and society, we have knuckleheads who try and mess up the fun that everyone else is going to have. But the reality is also that, like, oh, that's how we are. That's how we are with our families. We have family members who are like, oh, man, Uncle Jesse's here. I don't have an Uncle Jesse. Don't worry. But I think that's where my fun comes from in the show. Yeah. Just like looking at her.
I definitely have like 4 Uncle Jessies. So take me through. So you guys, did you know each other before this? Because you both went to Juilliard. And take me through, if you didn't, just how you kind of got comfortable together and what rehearsals were like.
We knew each other.
Yeah.
We go back from 18, 19 years old. Grantham. I was group 40, which means the 40th group to come through the drama division. And he was group 41.
G41?
No. Group 40.
Okay.
G40.
All right.
So yeah, we knew each other, and actually another one of our castmates, Jeremy Harris, was actually in class with him.
We were classmates, roommates. Yeah.
So Kenny, take me through staging this.
I couldn't take you through staging this. How can I take you through staging this? That was 5 weeks of hard work, and we're still staging. I'm still taking notes. I'm still adjusting. But today I'll free the production. Today I think what we call freezing it. You know what I mean? I'm learning things every day. But what I try to basically what they were talking about was they're just standing in truth, and sometimes you forget how to stand in truth, you know, where you don't get an opportunity to bring your full self to a production, you know, and I want this production to unify people. And just because it's an all-black cast doesn't mean that it's anti-white. It's like, it's just the opposite of that. And it's beautiful to watch every night because I want to live in an America that embraces everybody. And just like Abraham Lincoln is a part of my past, for every white person, Barack Obama is a part of their history. And, you know, if we just live up to our documents, this could really be a beautiful, beautiful country. And I think all of us as humans we have not become the most beautiful that we can be as a country and as people. And this art that we're doing Much Ado, I think is really special. And I think if there was a just world, I think that after the run in the public, I think it should be on a commercial stage. It should be on Broadway, just because I think it's that special and that specific and that impactful and that beautiful and that gorgeous and it's well crafted with this wonderful cast. You know, Chuck Cooper's in the cast, Margaret Odette, Denzel's daughter, Olivia Washington. We got a great group of well-trained actors. And that's also what I want people to see. You know, I remember one time people were casting a lot of folks in movies, and they said, well, you know, that's because we use the Brits, because a lot of British actors are trained. And it's like, there are a lot of trained American actors too, and sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes some of us go to Juilliard, some of us go to NYU, some of us go to historically black colleges, some of us sit on the train and pick up things on the train. You know, it doesn't matter how you get trained. It's important that you're observant of human behavior if you call yourself an actor. And I just think this is a real special group of artists working on this.
And like you said, these are actors who are highly trained and delivering Shakespeare with so much emotion and passion. But what was that process like, memorizing this script and getting it down? Because, you know, it's Shakespearean language. There were moments where I was like, what did they just say? I kind of confused, and you kind of
You're
learn
not
it.
confused with this
No,
production.
but you learn it through
You're
the.
not confused with this production.
What I'm saying
You
is-
understand everything that's happening on that stage. People have taken Shakespeare and destroyed, I think, what Shakespeare was about. We equate Shakespeare to like, oh, let's do it the way the British do it. So we got these we're imitating something that we don't even know. What we're trying to do in this production is find the truth and make it like relatable. And it's like, so I would sit in rehearsal and say, Danielle, what are you saying? What does that mean? So we're at the place now where like I need to understand every word, every idea. And I think, 12-year-olds come to this play and they're like, wow, mommy, I understand everything. I understand everything. There is no reason to be confused at any production of Shakespeare.
I was gonna finish. I wasn't actually confused though. I was saying like some of the words, you're like, what did it? But with the context and the performance and everything, you can very easily put it together. So just so you know, you did a great job.
Also, I forgot to say that, the great Jason Michael Webb is doing the music. So we've taken every place where Shakespeare talked about music. We've composed our own music in those places, and it's beautiful. And Camille Brown is doing the choreography. So we have a lot of little dancing, little singing, and they deliver on all of that.
Yes, they do. So take me through learning Shakespeare though.
Oh man, I think whether it's Shakespeare, Katori Hall, August Wilson, or like the worst script ever, if you don't know what you're saying, you're not gonna remember it. And like the other day, luckily Grant saved my butt. I like completely went brain.
Why you gonna tell the people that? The
farted.
people
When
didn't
was
even
this?
know.
Well,
People
see,
didn't
I
even
had
know.
a good, scene part that you never knew. But totally had a brain fart on stage, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna recover. And he came right in, And I think Kenny's taught us that from the jump. He's like, you have to support each other. If you see somebody choking and you got a glass of water, go help them. And that's with the lines too. But as far as the memorizing, it really to me starts with the story. If I don't know what I'm saying, if I haven't come up with the subtext for myself, I'm not gonna be able to memorize it. But then it became fun because there's so many I don't know the technical stuff. I should because I went to Juilliard, but there's so many antitheses and triple antitheses and just the way the language is. It's just so much fun to actually get to put it in your mouth and say the things every night. Especially it's tripping on the tongue, especially for our characters. Yeah. I have a line. It goes, I will take no more pains for those thanks than you take pains to thank me. If it had been painful, I wouldn't have come. And it's just blah, 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 blah. But that's the whole thing,
Yeah. For Shakespeare, most of the time, I find it sometimes easier to memorize because you know when you're leaving out a word, when you're paraphrasing, whereas a new contemporary script, it says, I didn't go through that door. You can be like, I ain't go through that door, and no one's gonna know. But if you did that with to be or I ain't to be, that's not not only is it so memorable most of the time, but it won't work. In the moment you're talking about, the last word was literally.
It was not in my brain, but it was not. Okay?
Yeah, but he also does, a whole bunch of writing the same thing over and over and over and over again. So we cut. That's anyone who approaches Shakespeare cuts things out sometimes, most of the time, unless you did that Hamlet.
You're going to be sitting there for 5 hours.
Yeah.
There's no reason for a play to be 5 hours long.
No.
None. Zero.
No. So most of the dense, hard to even grasp ideas that only work then, most productions take those out, cut those out, but some of them are challenging. Some of them are really fun to keep. And I don't know. I really enjoy speaking those words to you every day.
And the same.
Do you guys feel really locked in and engaged? Is what I mean is that heightened by being in the park with this big audience? You're outside, you have all the elements, plus you're saying Shakespeare, and it's so dynamic. Is this a very unique experience? Because in watching it, I have never seen anything like it. It is such a full body experience. I was locked in for the entire time, just because there's so much going on.
It is so thrilling. It is, to me, probably one of the most fun times I've ever had on stage. I mean, first of all, like you said, the elements, right? It could drizzle, it could rain.
It can raccoon.
You can raccoon. But the fact that the audience is with us the entire time, people stand in line, 7 in the morning or so to get these tickets that are free, come and see us. That's really cool. But being out there and you got gnats in your face and you, like he said, you can see raccoons and the planes going that are so noisy. To me, that kind of takes the pressure off. It's like, just enjoy this space, be in the air, really breathe, and be with your castmates and tell this story. Like that, we get the privilege of telling this story in this way. It's so much fun.
One of the things that's a great thing, I don't want to skip over this, is that Bank of America and other sponsors, they take care of paying for these tickets because, we have 200 people on staff that have to build a set and create the costumes, and the actors have to be paid. And so Bank of America takes care of that and then allow us, all of the people, to sit in the park free to meet theater and great art halfway. Because, if it were in a real perfect world, theater would be free.
And like you said, I hope that this is something, this specific staging is something that continues in another space because, everybody's not going to get a chance to come see it at Shakespeare in the Park, but I do think it's something that's going to help new audiences connect to Shakespeare in a way that they never thought they could. So it's been such a joy for me to watch it and see it and talk to you guys. Before we go, I do have a couple of questions from the audience. Who do we have first?
Hi, guys. Obviously, Beatrice and Benedict are such iconic Shakespearean characters, and so I was wondering how you guys made those roles your own, or if you drew inspiration from past performances. What was your research process like?
Normally, I think any good actor steals from watching other people. But I think, like Kenny and Grant were saying earlier about that truth, finding the truth. For me, watching other Beatrice did not work, at all. And I just had to really come from my own gut instinct and trusting that. And that's why, again, I go back to the way Kenny mapped out for us actors how we can be in the room. Is like to get to go as far as you want and get to ask as many questions as you want to discover this character for yourself. It has been so the best thing I could ever ask for versus being stifled by making a choice. So for me, I just did my thing and linked up with my castmates, and we came up with something, linked up with my director, and boom, bam, bam.
I kind of have to say the same thing because looking at the other movies and other productions, normally they're cast older than we are, and I think that says something. And they're cast different shades than we are, and that says something too. So I think for us, it was like, well, that's not going to help me get to you, and that's not going to help me get to me. And what does it mean for us to be young and kind of not in love, but in love? And what's that expiration? So I feel like it was found more here than out there.
And Kenny, I'm curious, how did you change your approach in staging this in a time of Me Too, when you have these male-female dynamics playing out, and there is some misogyny naturally in the words? How did you change your approach?
I think that when Shakespeare first wrote the play, he was writing about how silly and stupid men were. And then so I looked at the play like, how to make this play impactful today. So once I decided it's in 2020, that did one thing. Once I decided it was a black company, that informs it. And then now all I have to do is tell the cast, find the truth in that. And so with, like, say the role of Dogberry. Dogberry is usually played by men, and usually it comes off to me as that kind of just silly for no reason. But by making Dogberry a woman and those other three watchmen men, then everything she says makes sense. It makes the men seem appropriately silly. So and then once you put women in the military, then that truth comes out in a different way. So then my thing with them is let's just find the truth in that. The script will tell us where it's not working. I'll sit here and say that I don't believe that. If someone pushes you down at your wedding, we got to play the truth of that. And once I cast it, I wanted to cast all young because I thought that's what it was for me. It was like 4 people trying to discover life in their 20s. It's not about like, oh, the role is Beatrice and Benedict and they're 60 years old. It's like, no, that's not the story I think is there. The story is like 4 people And especially these two trying to find their way when they're young, when they still got time to still figure it out and find love and lose love and find it again. And so I found that that was what worked for me directorially, and I think it comes off of the stage.
It definitely does. I remember watching them and being like, I could see them on Tinder, and just like what your characters would be like on Tinder, because they were so clear to me who you would be, who they are now. You know. Last question.
Hi, we have an online question from our site, buildseries.com. So somebody wants to know, was there a favorite line that you guys had or a favorite scene that you guys like to perform every night?
Your line.
No, it's my favorite. Is that your favorite?
Yeah, because I'm looking at you. I'm like,
I love this line. I get to say to, I don't want to tell him why it means so much to me to say it to him. Yeah, I'll tell you after. But it's the line that I say, I love you with so much of my heart that none is left to protest. I think that it's just so beautifully crafted by Shakespeare, and getting to say it to Grant every night is just so special. So
that's my favorite line, so there we go.
My favorite line as a director is, I know not. So now, as a director, to like, okay, from here on out, when I'm working on a play, if I don't know something, I know not.
Well, what I do know is that this is an amazing performance that people need to go check out. Like I said, it was something that made me interested in more Shakespeare. And I think that was hopefully maybe the takeaway, is that there's this beautiful language and this beautiful art that we need to celebrate. And just seeing your faces up there made it extra special. So thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Brittany.
Yeah, of course.
you.
And guys, Much Ado About Nothing runs Tuesday through June 23rd at Delacorte Theater in Central Park. For details on free tickets, visit publictheater.org. Please put your hands together for Danielle Brooks, Kenny Leon, and Grantham Coleman.